2 years ago, I made a vision board. I put on absolutely everything that I wanted to manifest for my dream life. And I remember looking at this beautiful collection of things on it, at all of my hopes and my dreams cut out in little magazine pictures and assembled in this pretty collage. And I just felt so excited for all of it to come true. I had done enough research by then to know that manifestation is not BS. It's actually backed by some incredibly impressive neuroscience. And so I was ready for that science to kick in and for my life to dramatically change. And then it did not. Literally nothing on my vision board came true. I remember the next December looking at everything that I had so optimistically glued on 12 months prior and feeling so demotivated and depressed. I felt confused. I felt even weirdly ashamed, like the science is there. So in my head, that must have meant that something was wrong with me. And I remember thinking, why does this work for some people and not work for others? Like, why did literally nothing on my vision board come true? Because I am a longtime journalist and I truly cannot help myself, I decided to look into it. And what I found shocked me. So that's what we're getting into today. We're going to dive into the sneaky reasons manifestation might not be working the way that you want it to and how exactly to fix that so all of your greatest dreams can come true. Welcome to the Liz Moody podcast. I'm Liz, and as a longtime journalist, I have spent my career asking the uncomfortable questions that you want answered to give you these science-backed strategies that cut through all of the wellness BS so that you can get real results even when you are busy, even when you are tired, even when you are totally overwhelmed. If you're new to the podcast, you're joining us for our January transformation series. We've covered the real reasons it's so hard to lose weight in a healthy way and exactly what to do to achieve the results that you want. We've covered tiny shifts that yield outsized results in terms of your wealth, your health, and your happiness. And we've gotten into the episode that you want to listen to if you want to genuinely crave working out. And I say this as a person who never worked out consistently in my life until like a year ago. So make sure that you go and listen to those after this episode and then follow the Liz Moody podcast because all January long, we are sharing science-backed tools to make 2026 the absolute best year of your life. I want to start by super quickly getting into the science why manifestation is supposed to work because for years I was so skeptical. I thought that manifestation was full-on pseudoscience until I had two neuroscientists on the podcast who explained what was actually happening. In a nutshell, although I highly recommend listening to those episodes after this one if you're interested in all of the science behind manifestation, but in a nutshell, manifestation is essentially the practice of retraining your brain to notice and seize opportunities that already exist in your environment. Here's the neuroscience of what's happening with manifestation. Your reticular activating system, or RAS, is a bundle of nerves in your brainstem that acts as a filter. Your brain is bombarded with millions of bits of data every second. Like right now, you're listening to or watching this episode. You might also be driving or doing the dishes, so you're seeing other cars on the road, or you're trying not to drop that slippery dish in your hand. You're hearing me talk, and you're hearing noise around you. You're smelling things. Your brain is constantly taking in just huge amounts of information, and it's too much for it to process at once. And most of it, frankly, isn't really useful. So your RAS is there to act as a gatekeeper, to filter out what gets through to your conscious mind. On top of that, and it literally changed my life when I got my head around this concept, your brain is not designed to build your dream life. It's designed to keep you alive. By default, the things that your brain prioritizes are things designed to keep you from getting kicked out of the tribe or literally dying. It's scanning for threats. It's scanning for opportunities to conserve energy, which is why it can feel so hard to overcome that inertia that keeps us from moving our bodies. Our brains prefer that we lay. It is better for our long-term survival. It is prioritizing avoiding loss, embarrassment, rejection, or uncertainty. Your brain basically wants you to do the same safe thing every single day because it knows that that thing is going to keep you alive. It feels safe. It's kept you alive in the past. It's like, got this. This will keep me alive in the future. Once you really internalize this, it becomes a lot easier to understand why most of us are stuck living lives that do not prioritize our dreams. We have to consciously fight our brain's natural instincts in order to make our dreams come true. And that is where manifestation comes in. Manifestation is not attracting something from outside of you. It is training your brain to treat a future goal as survival relevant. And you do that by essentially programming your RAS, your reticular activating system, to look out for the information that you want it to look out for. Scientists call this value tagging. When you intentionally name what you are looking for and repeatedly bring it into focus, you tag it in your brain as important, and then your brain starts prioritizing it, which makes your brain notice opportunities and connections that were previously being filtered out. Have you heard of yellow car theory? You might not be able to think of the last time that you saw a yellow car, but the moment that somebody says, "Have you noticed how many yellow cars there are?" you suddenly see them everywhere. You didn't change the number of yellow cars on the road, but you primed your brain to look for them now. And this works universally. You can tell your brain to tag yellow cars as important, but also job opportunities, partners, and more. It's also why, and this is so important too, I just feel like this is what plagues us all in the era of social media these days. It is also why if you look for reasons the world is terrible, you find more of those reasons. If you look for problems, you find more problems. But on the flip side, if you look for solutions or reasons that there's good in the world, you're going to find more of that too. And over time, this actually changes the wiring of your brain. Neural connections linked to old limiting beliefs weaken while pathways aligned with your new intentions strengthen, which makes you see more opportunities and more connections. Then all of a sudden you get into this flow where opportunities and abundance are everywhere because you have wired your brain to look out for them. So that is the basic science behind manifestation. But given all of that, why does manifestation sometimes not work? Why did my vision board turn into a big fat nothing? I dove into a ton of research and I found 3 key reasons. The last one is far and away the biggest one. It's the one that I was personally getting all wrong. So diving in, reason 3, lack of action. Manifesting can tell your brain to notice an opportunity, but you have to be the one to take the action. If you're manifesting a partner, you are tagging your brain to notice the people that it might have once skipped over, but you have to talk to them. You have to put yourself in environments where they exist. They're not going to waltz through your front door. And honestly, that'd be really scary if they did. If you're manifesting your dream career, you need to build the skills to thrive in that career. And sometimes, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky, a little bit insidious, manifesting can actually keep us from doing this. Research has found that when we fantasize about a goal, like when we make a vision board, our brain can't fully distinguish between the fantasy and reality. Our brains release dopamine as if we have already achieved that goal. And that lowers our drive to actually achieve the goal from a neuroscience perspective because our brain thinks that the hunt is over. Research has found that the key to overcoming this is tying in action to your goals. I had Dr. Tara Swart, who's an MD and also a neuroscientist, casual, on the podcast, and she doesn't make vision boards. She makes what she calls action boards. So that is my first tip for your manifestation to have a great 2026. Make an action board. There are a few small differences in what goes on the board. Dr. Swart recommends using mostly images and only using a few numbers for things like specific money goals. This is because our brains process images 60,000 times faster than text. And also things that feel like more metaphorical can bypass the part of your brain that's like, oh, I could never do that. She also recommends physical boards versus an iPhone background or something digital, and then looking at it before bed because that's when your brain is in its most plastic state. But the big thing that makes it an action board versus a vision board is Dr. Swart recommends thinking about the work to get to your goal, not just the outcome. With a vision board, you might have a dreamy photo of you in a big, beautiful house, and you might picture swanning through the corridors and enjoying the space. That image is actually going to make you lazier because, again, your brain releases dopamine as if you have already achieved that goal. To make it an action board, look at the image and then mentally rehearse the steps required to get there. Where is the house? How much money do you need to buy it? How are you going to get that money? Are you going to start a side hustle? Are you going to ask for a raise? What would asking for a raise sound like? That mental rehearsal is going to strengthen the skills, the literal pathways in your brain that you need to achieve those things. You'll be able to picture obstacles that you might run into and ways that you can overcome those obstacles. And all of that is going to make you so much more likely to make your vision come to life. Anything that you can do to tie actions to your goals is going to set you up for success. Making plans, building skills, visualizing obstacles and how you'll get through them. And if you're doing that plus the vision board, you're doing all of that and you're priming your brain to notice the opportunities, the connections, the luck that is likely all around you. And then those two things together are the winning combination to making your dreams come true. The second reason that manifesting might not be working for you is something that, frankly, is one of the main reasons that I was anti this whole manifestation thing for so long. Manifesting might not be working because there are structural barriers in place. There are systemic inequities. Conversations about manifesting so often just completely ignore inequality, and it matters. It's like the whole Nepo baby conversation. Can you become a famous actor without parents who work in Hollywood? Absolutely. There are a ton of examples of people who have done this. And it is much, much easier if you have parents who can introduce you to agents or who can teach you consciously and subconsciously that these careers are attainable and possible, who can provide a financial safety net so that you can take big swings and big risks. There are inequities all over the place, where we're born, the color of our skin, who we're exposed to, our socioeconomic background, our educational background, how attractive society considers us, how well our skills and intelligence fit the current cultural moment. All of these things and so many more impact the lives that are possible for us. This is true. And when people are like, wow, I'm so good at manifesting. Look at my dream car, my dream house, and my dream job. And you're like, girl, you were born to rich parents with a 10 out of 10 face. That can feel deeply unfair. And shaming and blaming ourselves or having other people shame or blame us for failing at manifesting when we're starting at entirely different parts of the race is actively harmful. That shame and that blame, both internal and external, actually takes us further away from being able to manifest or achieve our dreams for reasons that we will get into more in a second. And this is the harder part of the conversation. Your life might not be your fault, but it is your responsibility. There are the cards that we're dealt, and then there is what we do with those cards. There are a lot of parts that aren't in our control. I cannot control having a ton of childhood trauma that led to me having debilitating anxiety. I can't go back in time and change where I went to high school or make my parents rich. And it doesn't help me to dwell on those things. What our brains want is agency. They want power. And we have so much more of it than we think. Yes, the circumstances are very, very, very real. But what are you going to do with those circumstances? That is where your power lies. That and voting, which I hope that we're all doing. But the more you blame your life on outside elements, the more you take away your own power. What serves you the most is to lean into the power that you do have. Those outside elements are so real. And this is your life. Don't miss it because you're angry or you're jealous or you're sad. Reason number one, that manifesting is not working for you is very tied to that shame and blame thing that we were just talking about. This is hands down the reason that a lot of my vision board did not come true last year. And I think it's a top reason why a lot of us are not seeing the manifestation results that we want these days. If you are in a state of constant threat, manifestation does not work. Being stressed or anxious or burnt out or in a shame spiral activates your sympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight response. When you are in fight or flight, your amygdala takes control. Remember how we had to train our brains to override that propensity to only be scanning for threats, to only be trying to keep us alive? When your amygdala takes control, that propensity is on steroids. Your brain shuts down its prefrontal cortex, which is the part responsible for complex decision-making and creativity, and, importantly, value tagging. Meaning your RAS cannot look for ways to get your dream life or your dream house or your dream partner because it cannot tag those as values. When your amygdala is in control, its only value is to keep you alive. I had Dr. James Doty, a Stanford neuroscientist, on the podcast to talk about this. I will link that episode for you in the show notes because it is wild. He manifested literally tens of millions of dollars after a childhood spent in poverty, and he shares exactly how he did that. But Dr. Doty's research has found that to tag a goal in your RAS, you have to be in a state of psychological safety. You need to activate your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode. This is why my past vision board failed. I was making it from a place of I need these things to be happy because my life sucks right now. I was manifesting from a place of stress and overwhelm. Every time I looked at my vision board, I saw what I didn't have, which made me feel like my life wasn't enough, like I wasn't enough, which made me more stressed, which made my vision board less effective. Dr. Doty's research found that before you try to manifest anything, you have to regulate your nervous system first. He found that intentionally regulating your nervous system shifts your brain out of that threat state and back into safety, which turns your prefrontal cortex back on, and it allows you to start successfully value tagging again. His work found that the best way to do that was via compassion, gratitude, and calming practices like breathing exercises. So he recommends doing a few minutes of slow breathing where your exhales are longer than your inhales before looking at your vision or your action board. Do a gratitude practice and ask what you love about your life as it is, and then ask yourself, what do I want to call in? It is only when you manifest from safety that your brain can tag your goals as possible, instead of as just evidence that something is wrong with you. The big takeaway that I have from his research is get calm first in any possible way that you can, and then manifest second. This is the one thing to do before you manifest anything this year. I find personally that gratitude really does help with that feeling of not enoughness, of my life is shit unless I hit these goals. Looking around my life and really consciously and specifically reflecting on what I have is hugely helpful for me. And research shows that one of the best ways to do that is called reverse gratitude. I love this. It's a little grim, but I love it so much. So bear with me. Reverse gratitude is to imagine the things that you do have being taken away from you. So it's not like, I want my dream house. It's like, what if I didn't have a house at all? What if I didn't have my health? What if I didn't have this person that I love so much in my life? It is grim. Like I said, it's morbid, but it is hugely effective, both in research and then also in my lived experience. It's one of my absolute most effective ways I've found to tap into a sense of gratitude versus just like listing, like, I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for this. It's like, what if I didn't have this? What if I didn't have this? So that's another tip, another little practice to pair with manifestation so that your manifestation actually works. And then I also want to add, the thing that's helped me the most with that feeling of not enoughness is finding ways to enjoy the journey. How can I enjoy the days building to everything on my vision board? How can I enjoy learning the skills and taking the baby steps? Because that is the stuff that really makes up our lives. And if we can learn to find satisfaction in that, that's going to be the real thing that makes our lives feel noticeably different. It also shifts the message that you're telling your brain from, I want this thing so that I can be enough, to, I am already enough. My life is already enough. And I can want to grow. I can want to expand. That shift alone is going to change how your brain encodes your goals. One frames your goal as relief from danger, which again is going to make value tagging literally not possible because you're in that fight or flight state. The other frames it as curiosity. It frames it as growth, which will allow you to value tag, and it's going to create far more motivation And it's going to make your manifestation, the things that you're manifesting, far more likely to come true. You are worthy just for being you, literally exactly as you are. You are enough. And you can expand, you can grow, you can achieve your biggest goals. Once you can hold both of these truths and really recognize that they are both true, that's when your life is really gonna begin to shift. So to recap, yes, manifestation is real and it is science, it is not magic. But if it's not working for you, it could be because you're not tying actions into your dreams. You're not rehearsing obstacles and making plans to overcome them. You're not developing those skills. It could also be because many of the systems in this country, in many countries, they frankly suck. And you're not going to let that very true fact rob you of your power. Or it could be because you are manifesting from a place of stress, of not enoughness. And that is literally making it impossible for your brain to make the processes of manifestation work. I hope all of this was helpful. I hope you had like a little bit of an aha moment there. And I hope that we unlocked the manifestation skills that will help all of us turn 2026 into our best year yet. I will let you know at the end of the year if what's on my action board works this time, so stay tuned. If you haven't yet, go check out the rest of our January content, including our science-backed, shame-free weight loss episode. We have our episode on how to finally crave working out without relying on motivation. We have our episode on tiny hacks for more money, health, and happiness in 2026. And make sure you follow the Liz Moody podcast on YouTube, on Apple, or on Spotify, because this is just the beginning of our series to help you make 2026 the best year of your life. On Wednesday, we have an episode about how to do hard things that we know are good for us, but can sometimes be really hard to do. They're hard things. This is going to make them much easier. And then next week, we're getting into how to build a life that is meaningful, plus everything that you need to make all of your food healthier and more delicious. Hitting follow means that those episodes will show up right in your feed and you will never miss out on something that might completely transform your life. If you want to make the shifts that we talked about today in this episode even more powerful, just take 5 seconds and quickly send this episode to one other person in your life. You can manifest together in the right way, the way that gets real results, which will make your dreams even more likely to come true. And also just doing this stuff with other people makes it way more fun. And also it is hands down the best way to support the podcast. And it is so, so appreciated. As always, you can find all of the discount codes that you heard in this episode. You can save a ton of money on products that we have vetted, that we stand behind, that we approve of at lizmoody.com/codes. Buying from our brand partners lets us continue to make this content for you completely free. And also, you get to save money on like supplements, on workout routines, on mattresses, and more. So much good stuff over there. I love you guys, and I am so excited for all of us to manifest our dream lives now that we know what to avoid and what to do. And I cannot wait for what's going to happen for you next. I will see you on the next episode of the Liz Moody Podcast. Oh, just one more thing. It's the legal language. This podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. It is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician, a psychotherapist, or any other qualified professional.